spotted by the Seeker Tanks and deploy immediately. It's going to be able to do some heavy damage to these Seeker Tanks. All of the armor of Lamass. Lamass trying to be sneaky, hopefully trying to get a two-prong attack, but the Storm Riders had absolutely no defense. Welcome back, Commander. I am Korak, and this is Kane's Wrath on the map Tiki Turmoil. Starting us off in the top right-hand corner of the map, wearing the orange robe, sporting the Reaper 17 gloves, we have Dunetiger. His opponent for the moment in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, sporting the green robes in the black hand gloves, we have Lamass. Both fighters ready. Begin. Here we are, Commander, back in the casting chair. I took a little bit of a break to work on some personal IRL stuff. We're getting a little bit of scouting over here by Dunetiger, but they are taken out by a quick and in a hurry buggy. We may be getting a little bit of a bike rush. Oh, nope, that does not appear to be the case. That we got another harvester instead, but the the buggy is going to be very good, taking out the scouts of his opponents, taking out the scouts of Dunetiger. Meanwhile, the scouts for Lamass have begun to move over into Dunetiger's base, poking around to see what's going to happen, but typically Reaper 17 doesn't do anything super crazy early on. Nod is typically the sneaky faction. There are the Buzzer Squads taking out the scouts for his opponents. It looks like both parties have begun moving to their natural expansion. The buggy's going to move its way in and get some scouting and do some poking for Lamass against Dunetiger. It looks like there's a little bit of skirting around of these buzzers over here. There's a Scorpion tank that's going to be able to push out this buggy who has overstayed his welcome. Dunetiger is saying you are no longer welcome over here. You weren't welcome in the beginning, but you're even welcomed less with these Seeker tanks pushing their way forward. Dunetiger gonna press his advantage and see if maybe he can get some hits off on a harvester. Probably with these two Seeker tanks he could potentially do that, but this will give Lamass time in order to build up maybe some bikes or to build up some Scorpion tanks. Might be your best bet if you know they're coming. Usually it's a good strategy to get a Scorpion tank, and there it is. There is the Scorpion tank, and that's going to be enough to help push out these Seeker tanks. However, the laser turret also does a pretty good job at pushing them out, and it's going to probably get a kill on one of the Seeker tanks. There it does get a kill the Seeker tank, and there's a little bit of these buzzers left, but they're not going to be able to do too much. They're definitely not going to be able to take out that particular thing over here. Scorpion tank's going to push out the Seeker tanks of Dunetiger over here. Minor skirmishing continuing for both of the players, but if Lamass is not careful, he's going to lose his Scorpion tanks in a little bit of a pincer move. Dunetiger doing very good, moving in his faster Seeker tanks. I'm sorry, I guess the Seeker tanks are probably not faster, but they are sort of middle of the road for everything. They do have decent speed and decent armor, and I think the difference with the Scorpions, I think the Scorpions are a little bit faster. Someone will have to correct me in the comments if I remember correctly. Like I said, I believe Nod is typically the faster faction, especially compared to these Seeker tanks, but maybe these Seeker tanks are more lightweight than I realized. Another laser turret is going to come out for Lamass and begin to get this harassing force taken out. Shields coming in a great time. Dunetiger going to do a little bit of a turn around, maybe try to pick off some of these units. He might overstay his welcome. There's a whole bunch of Scorpion tanks here, and it looks like that is happening. Dunetiger has lost a lot of his shields and is losing unit left and right. He no longer has the forces to contest Lamass, to contest the Scorpion tanks for Lamass, and Lamass is going to sense that and move his way in. However, he's not careful. I've seen a lot of players snake their way around and do a little bit of pincer move, but I don't think that Dunetiger has the forces for it, and that does appear to be the case. Dunetiger has begun to back his way out and is focusing a little bit more on hopefully his economy. There is another harvester out beginning to harvest that natural expansion for Dunetiger. Lamass now looking to go on the offensive. He has been on the back foot for the last couple of seconds and no longer wants that case. And this is actually really good for Lamass. If he can get a couple more of these picks, maybe he expected more forces here, and I think he did indeed expect more forces. Dunetiger formations are not very tight here, and Lamass is going to capitalize on that, taking down 3 Seeker tanks. He did lose 1, maybe 2 of these Scorpion tanks, but he's going to continue his advantage and hopefully stop some of this harvesting. But no, he's going to focus on the forces, and that's probably a wise decision considering the Devourer tanks are out here for Dunetiger. If Lamass is not careful, this defender's advantage is going to turn this assault into a defense for Lamass. Lamass needs to not overstay his welcome right here. He does lose lose a couple of units, and a lot of his Scorpion tanks are hurt and taken out. Meanwhile, in the north, actually, Lamass is doing a very good job taking out this Tiberium Spike almost for free. Seeker tanks are not going to be able to stop that whatsoever. However, they are going to be uncontested, moving their way into, and actually, I take it back, there are the rocket squads to take out the Seekers. The Scrin and Scrin factions do seem to have a harder time dealing with the man spam of Nod, and that does appear to be the case. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit of man spam, maybe some purifiers, because I guess they can't get avatars, mixed in with the man spam over here for Lamass. Lamass moving his way in, taking out a couple of these forgotten Shardwalkers. That's going to be unfortunate for Dunetiger. Dunetiger was not paying attention to the macro there for his units. He did get a little bit split up, and it looks like Lamass is moving in two directions at once. He has his armor in the south and his infantry in the north. And actually, we have a couple corruptors over here to potentially contest the man spam of his opponent. I think 4 corruptors might be enough, and we're getting a little bit of an engagement over here down on the secondary natural expansion of Dunetiger. Dunetiger is fighting all of these Scorpion tanks with his Devour tanks. I believe he does have the advantage here, unless Lamass has more units on their way over. It looks like Lamass is doing a 2-pronged attack, attacking with the infantries in the north. He's almost able to get a Harvester over here in the south. This Harvester just barely managed to make its way out. Corruptors do push out the man spam of Lamass, while Dunetiger is also doing a 2-pronged defense. I believe Devour tanks is definitely the answer. I think that if I was Dunetiger, I might be trying to get some air units potentially to deal with all of this armor. Corruptors moving their way into the secondary natural expansion of Lamass. I'm not sure how Corruptors do well against buildings, but they do seem to be taking out these laser turrets rather quickly, which is going to be unfortunate for Lamass. Lamass has Dunetiger on his front doorstep here, and his forces are a little bit out of position, although I'm not sure he has time to take all of this. The rocket squads are here and beginning to move their way in, starting to take out Shardwalker after Shardwalker. Buggies are going to be able to here to soak up some damage and hopefully take out those shields of the Shardwalkers. The Shardwalkers are going to be a big issue, and they do indeed take down all of the infantry. However, Dunetiger is going to lose a good chunk of units for it, and I'm not sure Dunetiger got enough of a gain in that fight. His forces did get sort of split up. Lamass seems to be doing a better job at keeping his units tight and stopping their formations from getting small little pickoffs here and there. However, Dunetiger can turn this around. The thing that's so dangerous about fighting Scrin, especially when Scrin is on the defensive, is you can move all your forces in and Scrin can drop a couple of one-clicks on you or on their units, slowing you down, taking you out, turning your advantage into a disadvantage, especially because Lamass's grouping may actually bite him in the butt with a couple of these one-clicks. More of the old main base of Dunetiger does get taken out. Devour tanks moving their way in to start taking out and contesting more and more of the armor over here of, it looks like, these bikes and, or sorry, these buggies and Scorpion tanks. Devour tanks do manage to get a couple of really good shots, and Lamass not wanting that fight, wise decision. I believe he loses that fight entirely. Lamass loses one more Scorpion tank on its way out, but he does save the bulk of the force, and it looks like the old main base for Dunetiger has been taken out. There is the T3 with an upgrade halfway completed for Lamass, and it looks like we actually have a T3, a Secret Shrine over here, and Purifiers to accompany that. It does look like Lamass is beginning to transition into this man spam. Very wise decision that can make a big difference. It looks like we've got our first airfield out and our first set of storm columns moving their way across the map, going to try to chew on what they can chew. Take a couple of pot shots at the forces of Lamass, not really able to get anything, but that did sort of tip Dunetiger's hand. Lamass, if he was paying attention, knows that his opponent has air flying around and is going to need to get some SAMs. Well, I guess he's got a good chunk of these militant squads, which are very good at dealing with that. And oh no, it does look like the Storm Riders, it does look like the Air Forces for Dunetiger do get a Purifier for free. That is not going to win him the game, but that will make a difference. Taking out those Purifiers, that's an expensive mistake for Lamass. Lamass is now on the opposite side of the foot, now on the opposite side of the field when it comes to his formation. Dunetiger capitalized on that Soul Purifier. It looks like we're about to get a major fight over here, and I think the advantage is in Lamass's corner. If he can sort of keep his units a little bit separated, getting ready for those one clicks, I think he can almost probably take this match out entirely right here. There is the decoy army as they begin to move their way in. There's the sell-off of the second, or the first natural expansion for Dunetiger. Dunetiger electing to move into his secondary natural expansion, his last base over here. Storm Riders taking out all of the armor of Lamass. Lamass trying to be sneaky, hopefully trying to get a two-prong attack, but the Storm Riders had absolutely no defense and were taken out. There is the one click, there is the second one click, there's two one clicks, and I think that's going to turn this fight around. It looks like Dunetiger was previously on the defensive, but now he is turned into the aggressor. He's going to be able to take out the forces of Lamass over here after Purifier get absolutely taken out. And if Dunetiger is paying attention, he might actually be able to get some of these Purifiers for himself on their way out. I believe that was the Blue Flame upgrade, but it is too little too late. Lamass has lost the bulk of his forces, and these Storm Riders are now free to wreak havoc, taking out Purifiers, taking out base infrastructure. Lamass is going to need to get some SAM turrets, and indeed he has poked at least one set of SAM turrets out. That is going to be good, because going for the old main base, there it is, SAM turret pushing out those Storm Riders. Storm Riders trying to get what kills they can, but not able to find any purchase when they needed it. He did not lose any units, and he has been able to use these Storm Riders to great effect, taking out all of that armor of Lamass over in the south. Storm Column does come out, and it looks like we had a couple more upgrades since we were last here for Dunetiger. Let's see if we've got, and there is the T3. I did call the Secret Shrine earlier T3. That was incorrect. The T3 for Nod is this tech lab over here. Although it's in kind of a weird spot right now in between the natural expansion, the two natural expansions for Lamass. Does look like Dunetiger is splitting up his forces, maybe trying to get a little bit of positioning over here. Dunetiger would probably benefit a lot over here if he could group his forces in the way that Lamass is, and I think Lamass might actually do some advantage sort of grouping in the way that Dunetiger is, considering who they are up against, since Nod doesn't really have those one clicks. And we do actually have a captured Purifier over here by Dunetiger as they begin to take out this War Factory. War Factory is down. However, if Dunetiger is not careful, this assault is going to turn into a fleeing retreat as a tripod gets caught out in sort of a difficult position. Purifier moving its way into the old natural expansion of Lamass, taking out what it can. The forces for Lamass are just putting absolute pressure, and it looks like Shardwalker is going to get taken out by this man spam as they move their way in. Dunetiger's formations are just not quite tight enough, but maybe he's actually trying to do something sneaky. It looks like he's using his Purifier to try and take out more and more of the infrastructure of his opponent while he teases Lamass with his troops over there. Purifier has managed to get amazing purchase, taking out building after building, and it does look like the forces for Dunetiger are going to be able to make their way out. And oh no, the Purifier is making his way towards the T3. I'm not sure he has the HP to be able to do this. Lamass is going to have to do some good microing in order to get this kill off on the Purifier. Purifier is almost taken out, but so is the T3. If Dunetiger can take out this T3, and there it goes, one Purifier for one T3, along with all of the infrastructure it took out previously. Dunetiger finding amazing purchase, and in my opinion making up for the small little picks here and there. Lamass is able to get off with that one Purifier. Just that one Purifier alone was able to get all kinds of crazy damage, including the T3 for his opponent. The longer this game goes on, the harder and harder it will be to gather resources, and it looks like we've got growth simulators over here by Dunetiger on every part of his Tiberium field except for the blue Tiberium area. Looks like we're entering our first lull for the match. Each player beginning to lick their wounds, each player beginning to look at their upgrades and think out their strategies and try to figure out that. I think at this point, Dunetiger knows that there is a good chunk of man spam and Purifier by his opponent. It is sort of cheaper building up these sort of meat shields, building up this man spam in order to protect the Purifiers. The Purifiers can do a good amount of damage. I feel like there's not enough rocket squads here to where if Dunetiger transitioned into some sort of drone ships are even better, in my opinion. The Devastator warships, which are kind of like artillery for the Scrin. I think they would benefit, especially with all of these bulky units. It would take a long time to chew through the forces of Dunetiger in order to get those units. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Reaper 17 doesn't actually have those Devastator warships. I'm not the most knowledgeable Kane's Wrath player, so I always get the factions just a little bit mixed up. So maybe if someone tells me in the comments whether or not the Reaper 17 faction does build these Devourer warships, or even better, if someone has an idea of why Dunetiger is not transitioning into them, I feel like that would be the natural answer. I mean, which is easy to say from the casting chair. Dunetiger and Lamass are doing a lot, they're microing a lot, and even though I'm sort of slowly moving my way around the map, doesn't mean that's what they're doing. They're often setting hotkeys, and if you watch a lot of the gameplay from the player's perspective, like Bike Rush or Leaf, or there's plenty of other people you can watch play. I think even Night Trucker shows some pretty good gameplay, and all of them move around at sort of a frantic speed. For those of you who are familiar with watching RTS players, that is extremely common. The micro and macro and the APM is extremely important to them, because the quicker you can get units out, the quicker you can position, better it is. And it actually looks like we're moving over into our maybe the final fight over here. Dunetiger is in a really good position to start taking out forces after forces. I think that the other forces for Lamass are over there in the north. That is the case. He is starting to move them right now. Storm columns are also making their way over here, but it looks like Lamass is actually at the disadvantage. Lamass is going to lose half of his force to the full armada, to the full strength of Dunetiger. Dunetiger grabbing the absolute advantage. Lamass being the one caught out. Lamass losing an entire army, the majority of his force to Dunetiger. I think this is now Dunetiger's game to lose. Storm columns are going to be able to suss out the remaining purifiers and the remaining man spam for Lamass. Lamass not having a lot of resources left. This is his last stand, and there is another one click, grabbing almost all of the purifiers except for one. The one purifier that was up does go down, and there is the towel. It looks like Lamass has thrown in the GG. Dunetiger was able to turn this around with a couple of one clicks and a couple of capitalization when it comes to those purifiers and taking out those infrastructure. And Dunetiger was on his back foot for much of the fight, but he turned it around quick and in a hurry, winning himself the match. Speaking of match, this one's over. I'll see you in the next one, Commander. There you are, Commander. Welcome to fight number 2 on the map, Tiberium Rift. Over here on the left-hand side of the map, we have in the blue, sporting the GDI, we have CharlesWarmonk. His opponent back again for another fight in the green, wearing the Scrin gloves. This time around, we have Lamass. We are in the early scouting phase early on. One thing we did miss is 2 infantry squads, 2 rifleman squads got taken out by the buzzer swarms of Lamass over in the center. Nothing too major. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure CharlesWarmonk is and I'm just going to call him Warmonk to be short. I'm not sure he's a player I'm too familiar with. That doesn't mean particularly a whole bunch. I've only been casting Kane's Wrath for a handful of months, so I'm still getting to know everyone, so maybe he's more prominent in some of the other communities that I don't float around in. Either way, it'll be interesting to see how he does against Lamass. I've seen Lamass sort of tighten up his defenses, tighten up his game, and he always is pretty great for a watch, pretty great for a cast, in my opinion. Lamass has already begun his first set of long distance harvesting, getting this blue Tiberium. I'm not sure it's worth it quite yet, but I guess half a load of blue Tiberium, A, denies it from your opponent, and B, that is technically a full load of Tiberium over there for free, not on his field. Although actually, I guess he almost completely filled up his harvester with Tiberium, so that might actually be a good purchase for him to go over here. Scouting for both players are continuing. It does look like the buzzard squads were finally taken out over on Warmonk's base, getting rid of the scouts for his opponents. while Warmonk continues to move his way around into his opponent's base. Blizzard Squad's getting taken out over on Charles. So far, everything is pretty standard. So far, everything is about how you would expect it. Shardwalker getting its first snack for the evening, doing a little bit of a good boy Gunwalker squat in celebration. There are 2 Tiberium spikes on this map per player, which they grabbed pretty early on, and as I showed before, there is blue Tiberium in the center, which will become more and more important. This game also moves in a little bit of an L shape, starting on the natural, or starting on the main base for each player here, and moving up to the north on the right, and moving down to the south on the bottom, and then they're both going to sort of join themselves down here in the middle, fighting over that blue Tiberium, pushing the game closer and closer to each other. This is also not a match with a ridiculous amount of resources, so those early on victories are going to make a pretty big difference in the game. We've seen Lamass be very, very tight with his formations, and we're actually getting our first little shatter, and we actually have a rig over here by CharlesWarmonk. We don't get to see the rigs too often. For those of you who don't know, it is a deployable that puts down 2 anti-tank sort of turrets with it and repairs its allies around it. The rig is going to get spotted by the seeker tanks and deploy immediately. It's going to be able to do some heavy damage to these seeker tanks as the shatterers move their way in. This is some good early assault going on. There is the mine drop, but it's not able to find really any purchase. There it is right now, but it is going to soak up some of the shots of these seeker tanks. Seeker tanks doing well, significantly better than I expected them to do. I thought they were going to get absolutely hammered by this rig, by this battle base, but it didn't seem to do that. They did focus most of their damage on the Shatterer. That's probably the wise decision. There is the first upgrade for Lamass. Lamass also putting down a lightning spike, isolating the rig from the APCs, but the APCs are only going to be able to do so much here other than just soak up damage. But it doesn't matter because it looks like the rig is taking out seeker tank after seeker tank, and it's going to turn into tower defense versus tower defense. We also have our first set of orcas over here by CharlesWarmonk. Warmonk being a player, like I said, that I'm not familiar with, but he is not pulling his punches. He has done some really sneaky, some really early on stuff that I am absolutely loving. There is the first anti-air. Lamass almost losing a harvester to those orcas, and I think the orcas did make it up. Both orcas did make it up. There is another mine drop. I'm not sure what all it's going to be able to do. Maybe he's just prepping for something. ABC is in a really bad position. It's going to get caught out and destroyed. The battle base is here, and oh no, the Shardwalkers are just going to absolutely destroy those orcas and now absolutely destroy the rig. There is a little bit of sell-off, saving some of the money of Charles, some of the money of Warmonk over here. Grenade squads wiping out one of the garrison buildings that Lamass was able to sneak his way into. Shardwalkers moving into the middle of the map. Protecting that blue Tiberium is going to be the name of the game. APC is moving out, and I'm assuming drone ship as well, to their secondary natural expansions. It looks like Lamass is going to meet his opponent in the south, and oh no, these harvesters are going to get caught unawares. There goes 2, taken out by the shock troopers, absolutely getting devastated. That is not what you want to see. Charles does have a strange cacophony of units here. He does have these mammoth tanks, but I'm not sure mammoth tanks are going to be the answer to these shock troops. These shock troops are going to be able to do a good chunk of damage. However, here is an answer. Here are the hammerheads and the APCs and some rocket squads going to be able to push out his opponent, going to be able to push out Lamass. However, Lamass has had free time and has been absolutely unmolested in the north when it comes to his secondary natural expansion, but the same cannot be said for Charles over here, for Warmonk. Warmonk pushing the forces of Lamass in the center over here. If he can get a tripod, that will be a good catch. It looks like we do have a rail cannon upgrade for these mammoth tanks, and there are the shields for the tripods. Lamass did a very good job of not getting caught out except for these hammerheads, so he might lose a tripod to these hammerheads in a minute, but it looks like the hammerheads are focusing more on taking out that. But there is the blink forward from the shock troopers, taking out those hammerheads quick and in a hurry. Lamass absolutely on top of it. Lamass absolutely expecting that to come his way. Charles' forces are a little bit divided, and it looks like we're getting a good use of these shock troopers. These shock troopers actually able to get several blinks off, taking out another mammoth tank. This is absolutely great. I don't get to see too much shock trooper mayhem, and so I'm always excited when it comes around, and it looks like Lamass is able to get that. There is his first set of Devastator warships, going to be able to start pushing his opponent, getting that artillery moving forward. And I don't think there is too much anti-air for Warmonk. Warmonk over here probably sensing that Devastator coming his way is not going to sit idly by, and he's going to move his way into the old main base of his opponent. But oh no, those shock troopers are not done. They're moving their way into the main base of their opponent, but it doesn't look like Lamass has any defense for this main base. I wouldn't be surprised if, old main base, I should say, I would be surprised if we get a little bit of a sell-off unless he's just trying to buy time with it. Shock troopers taking out the old main base of Charles. To mirror this, there is the one click as the tripod begins to make its retreat. I feel like that was a little bit of a premature one click, but maybe he was just trying to save that tripod. But even then, I think the one click is more valuable than one tripod. He could also just be trying to buy himself some time for his forces to move south, and that does appear to be the case. We do have our first assault carrier joined by another, and then I'm assuming our Devastator warship is going to be around here as well. Warmonk doesn't have any anti-air, and I say that as soon as two slingshots move their way in, it might be too little too late, but they do seem to be doing a good amount of damage to everything. Charles staying on his back foot, able to group his forces a little bit better than I expected him to, and it looks like the shock troopers in the north were finally able to be taken out by Charles. Charles is going to lose another mammoth tank or two, maybe three here, which is not going to be super great for him. Like I said, those gains are going to make a bit of a difference, and so far there's not a major answer to all of this air by Lamass. Lamass using that Devastator warship to great effect, getting a whole bunch of picks where he can and when he can. A couple more shock troops move in and then move out, sort of skirmishing back and forward with the drone ships and taking out these rifleman squads. Lightning Spike over here to get a little bit of a scout to poke around and see what the forces of Charles look like. Charles having a bit of a strange combination here between the rifleman squads and the slingshots to try to take out the air and to take out the ground units. I think the rifleman squads are here to soak up the damage of the Annihilator tripods, and that might be a call, but GEI's infantry is a bit more expensive with non. It's a little bit harder for them to do it. There is a blink of the shock troopers taking out more of these slingshots. These slingshots still finding great purchase, but I don't think they've been able to kill a carrier or to kill a Devastator warship just quite yet. That does not appear to be the case. Things are not looking great for Warmonk. Warmonk is on his back foot with Lamass at the gates. Lamass ready to take his opponent out, and is almost absolutely uncontested. There are the reinforcements for Warmonk, but I'm not sure how much they are going to be able to help. These drone ships, for the most part, are still relatively unmolested. And oh no, these shock troops are just absolutely hammering, absolutely devastating Warmonk. I think this might be it. I think this might be GG. I'm not sure what Warmonk can do here. He just has too much on his front lawn. He does have a couple of zone troopers here and there, but I'm not sure how much that's going to be able to do. He still doesn't have an answer really to these assault carriers. The answer he had was those slingshots, but they were absolutely destroyed by the blinks over and over by the shock troops. It does look like Lamass' forces are petering out just a little bit, and there goes a double upgraded Devastator warship for Lamass. Lamass might be overstaying his welcome just a little bit. However, Warmonk keeps losing force after force, and the whole thing though too is he's not really able to harvest this without putting his infrastructure in damage. And though he's actually there he goes, his last harvester, and he throws in the towel, giving the win to Lamass. Lamass sort of redeeming himself in this match against a different opponent. Thank you so much for tuning in, Commander. I have been your host, Korak. Transmission out.